G'day everyone, it's Wednesday again and it's time for episode 7 of Robbie Fishing Q&A. I've got a stack of messages here to plough through and I'm going to go through them quite quickly because I want to try and keep this segment a little bit shorter in time. Okay, because a lot of people don't like to sit there and watch half an hour. It's a big ask to expect somebody to give up half an hour of their time. So let's see if I can get through about 20 or 25 questions in under 15 minutes. Okay, Darcy asks, have you ever fished in the Lockland River and have you been to Parks, New South Wales? Darcy, I went through Parks once on the way back from Cobar. I fished the Lockland River near Hillston and I caught a few really big carp. The water looked great, but that was in, I think, October about 8 or 9 years ago and I've never been back. I hope to get back to the Lockland River one day. Thank you for the question, Darcy. Tim Chapman, a question for next week's Q&A. Are you and Straubs going to have another trout opening competition this season? Thanks for the question, Tim. Any day that I can pin Straubs down for a fishing trip is a good day. He is an absolute gem of a man with a wicked sense of humour, and fishing with him is just an uplifting experience. And I always outfish him, but he'll probably tell you otherwise. Hopefully we can get together this trout opening. Thank you very much for that question, Tim. Now I've got Lockie Condon. Do you swap out your trebles and split rings, and what speed reels do you recommend? Lockie, I'm assuming that you're talking about trout fishing because you're commenting on a trout fishing video. I don't change my split rings and trebles unless I break a hook. Sometimes, particularly on small trout minnows, hooks can break. Some brands use stronger hooks than others, but the weaker hooks generally tend to be a bit sharper. So, it's horses for courses. I only ever replace them if they break. I'm not one to go and buy a lure and then bring it home and change the hooks and split rings, no. And as for what speed reels do you recommend? I like a fast gear ratio, a high speed. I use a Shimano Stratic, which is 6:1 gear ratio, because I believe it is easier to turn a fast reel slowly than it is to turn or retrieve a slow reel quickly. Solo 5 Motorsport has asked, what's the best way to properly remove a swallowed hook in any fish, especially a trout? Thank you, Solo 5 Motorsport. I believe it's better to cut the line and put the fish back in the water. Unless you've got a good set of really long nose pliers and you're competent enough to get in there and get the hook out really fast. If you've gut hooked a fish or hooked a fish down deep, I think the best thing you can do is cut the line. I have heard and I have read that the hooks can rot away over time, that stomach acids can break the hook down, and I have actually caught fish, mainly Murray cod, with a hook stuck in its bum backwards. I've done that several times, which I assume has passed the hook through and it's made it that far. It's never great to gut hook a fish, obviously, but I do believe that cutting the line is the best thing you can do, and thank you for that question. Rongate asks, is there any way to avoid catching turtles? Also, do they scare the fish away from where they are? In all honesty, mate, I find if I start catching turtles, I move. It could be sheer coincidence or for what reason I don't know, but I find that once I start catching turtles, the fishing usually slows right down. I never seem to have good fishing when I'm catching turtles. Whether that's a coincidence or whether there's more in that, I don't know, but it's something that I've certainly noticed. As for avoiding them, my only suggestion is if you're catching plenty of turtles in one spot, try a different spot. That's about the best I can do. Fishing with Alien asks, hey Robbie, I want to start lure fishing. I have lures but I can't catch anything. Any tips? Mate, assuming you're cod fishing, this time of the year is almost winter. I always tell people to slow their lure right down, slow the retrieve right down, and practice the 3 Ps. Patience, persistence, and perseverance. Because cod fishing with lures in winter is not easy. Social media has a habit of making it look easy, but for most anglers it's not easy. And also you lose more lures in the winter because you don't like to go swimming for the lures when you get snagged because the water's too cold. Most of all, know that where you're fishing is a spot that actually holds cod. That will help you psychologically if you know for a fact that you are in the right spot. If you're on a spot that you're just experimenting with and you're not sure whether there's cod there or not, you're going to give yourself the underhand before you even start because you're going to be second guessing whether you're in the right spot or not. So know that you're in the right spot. Patience, practice, perseverance, the 3 Ps, and slow your lure right down. And if you don't catch anything, don't become disheartened. try again in December when the next cod season opens, because that's a much easier time of year to catch cod. I've been looking forward to answering this question, I can tell you. This comes from Steve Redding. Hey Robbie, quick Q&A question. What's your favourite heavy metal band? Keep up your awesome vids with the occasional heavy metal backtrack. I love heavy metal. I love heavy metal. I don't look like it these days, but years ago when I was a young bloke, I had long wavy hair right down to my chest. I wore the tapered in black jeans, I played electric guitar, and I just lived and breathed heavy metal. These days, I listen to heavy metal every day. I love it. But I go through phases with regards to favourite bands. For years, my favourite band was Anthrax. Then I sort of went through a Metallica phase, an AC/DC phase. Slayer has been I've been a huge Slayer fan for years. At the moment, I'm going through a Vader phase. I love Vader. They're a Polish band. I saw them live last year when they were support act for Creator. Creator are awesome as well. But Vader, check out Vader. If you haven't heard of Vader, go and buy a Vader CD or watch a few Vader YouTube videos. Triumph of Death is a great song. Vader really rock. I love their style. They're sort of thrash/grindcore. Awesome. Love heavy metal. Thank you very much, Steve, for the question. And thank you for picking up on something about me, and that is my passion for heavy music. Robert Muller has asked, hey Robbie, have you got any tips on catching yabbies? From Rob. G'day Rob. Yabbies are a warm water species, mate, so I'm not sure exactly where you're located, but so I'll answer it as if you're here in Wangaratta. This time of the year, it's hard work. You can put opera house nets in, you might catch one or two. Of course, opera house nets are subject to strict rules and regulations, and you'll need to check up on them. But yabbies are a warm water species, and the best time of year to target them is from about October, November onwards. Look for a farm dam with really dirty coloured, sandy coloured water, and you might be able to catch yourself some yabbies. If you find a nice dam with dirty, sandy coloured water and you don't do any good, move to another dam. Because once you find a dam, you'll catch heaps and it's great fun. I love yabbying. Connor Slattery wants to know, do you recommend bait or lures for fishing in lakes for trout? Thanks for the question, Connor. Both. It all depends. Trout are one of those things, it's a case-by-case basis. You might go to Cancoban Pondage, which is quite shallow, very thick with aquatic weed, and it can be hard to trawl a lure, and you might find using a bubble float with a live mud eye is the best option. Then you might get to Dartmouth, which is great, big and deep. You drift out into the middle of that lake and cast a bubble float with a mud eye. The mud eye will probably get lost. So you might find it easier to trawl her in with a winged lure or something. Horses for courses, mate, it all depends. I generally use more lures when I'm lake fishing, although Cancoban, when I go out there, I like bait fishing, and I've caught a few trout in Lake William Hovell on bait over the years as well. Let's give you a rule of thumb. Let's give you something to start with. If the lake is shallow and weedy, try using bait. If the lake is open and deep, try using a lure, and then if you're not having success, change it around a little bit. Thanks for the question, Connor, and I hope that helps you. Wyatt Ryan has asked a great question. Wyatt wants to know, do you have a script when you do your YouTube videos or do you freeball? It seems so natural but always such quality content. I'm in two minds. Thanks Wyatt. I live in two minds. I'm pretty sure I've got some kind of multiple personality going on. It's like me, myself and Robbie. Mate, I don't have a script. You see, as a kid I was diagnosed or blessed with this mental health disorder called ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder, which means that I love having attention on me, and it's never changed. And it does have downsides as well, don't you worry. But I've always been a confident speaker. Embarrassment is not an emotion that I know very well. I have been embarrassed over the years, but I don't get stage fright. I got up at the Murray Conference last year over in Shepparton with the Victorian Fisheries, made a presentation, wasn't the slightest bit shy or embarrassed. I'm very, very lucky, and I'm actually blessed to be like that. Do I have a script? Never. I've never had one. Maybe if I decide to make a little short film and tell a story and use some B-roll for some background footage or something, then I might write a script and read it off if I want to speak really fluently. But on the whole, nah, never have a script. Cooper Atkins asks, what are your PB fish? Mate, my personal best, PB for those that don't know stands for personal best or personal biggest, which is the same thing really, isn't it? My personal best redfin is 43.5 centimetres from Lake William Hovell. My personal best trout is 68 centimetres. My personal best Murray cod is 98 centimetres. I was about not even an inch short of the metre mark. My personal best golden perch was 62 centimetres. I trawled that at Lake Hume with my really good friend Brenton Richardson. That was a ripper. So, and my personal best carp, the biggest one I've ever measured was 78 centimetres. I reckon I've caught bigger years ago, back in the days, back in the 90s, back in the days before it was cool to measure fish. You would just drag them out and stomped on their head pretty much. But the biggest I've measured is 78 centimetres, but I may or may not have gone a bit bigger than that. So my official biggest is 78 centimetres. Andrew O'Connell. G'day Andrew, I've met Andrew at the Murray Conference last year. Terrific young fella. How's your young brother going, mate? I hope you're both going well. Anyway, Andrew asks, have you ever fished the Goulburn River for Murray cod or any fish? Mate, I fished the Goulburn River once with my good friend Adam Bosley and another good friend Ray Conadetti. We fished from kayaks. It was about 42 or 43 degrees. I had a blinding headache. My mind was not on the job. I thought I was going to be sick. We paddled upstream a few kilometres. I had one strike and I missed the hookup. And then I said to the others, you blokes go back. I'm just going to go back to the car. I sort of drifted and paddled back to the car, and then I think I laid down in the shade for a while. I wasn't a well man for no reason. I don't know why. So I haven't really fished it very much, mate, no, but I would like to spend more time over there. It's a nice looking river. Question number 2 from Andrew O'Connell. I know you don't really like going and catching metre plus fish. Not so much that I don't like it. I'll go into that shortly. But do you ever find catching those small ones a little bit annoying when you are trying to get your best cod for the season? It's not that I don't like targeting big fish. You see, I don't find catching the little cod annoying. In fact, I love catching cod. Any cod, big, small, they can be that long, they can be this long, and it doesn't really matter. I just love being out there. For me, it's never been all about catching the biggest fish in the river. Maybe when I was a kid it was, maybe when I was your age I was a lot more focused on the size of the fish. These days I just love to get out either on my own to clear my head, take some photos, do a bit of filming with my good mates like Sandy Hector or Brett Corker. With those guys, I just love spending time on the river with them, chewing the fat, which means talking about our problems and spending time at the river. Catching a fish is a bonus. The day I become annoyed at catching fish is the day I stop fishing and start playing golf. I tried that when I was younger and got annoyed at that, so I stopped, which is what I would do if I got annoyed catching small fish. So mate, it's not that I don't like to go and target big fish. One day I might do it. I might go down and catch up with Rod McKenzie. I might go and have a crack. I might go down and not catch any. I might make it a mission of mine to go and target big fish. The thing about, for me, is that's not the main goal. It never has been. And where I live, it means I've got to travel and I've got to put aside a much larger slab of time to travel to those places to target the big fish. And that's what I have a problem with, because I would rather just sneak out after work, do what I've got to do, than come home and relax. So one day I might target the big ones, but as for getting annoyed with the little fish, never, ever, ever. And you know what? I don't even get annoyed when I catch no fish. I still stay happy. But thank you very much for the question, Andrew. Finn asks, hey Robbie, what are your thoughts on Tassie Devil lures and what colours do you recommend for catching trout? I loved wing lures. Tassie Devils are probably the biggest brand, but there's quite a few other brands out there. They're called winged lures. I loved winged lures, trawling them for trout, and hot pink is my favourite colour. Fishaholic, Luke. Hey Rob, any good spots for cod around Omeo and up, mate? I'm from Bairnsdale. Sorry, mate, I have got no idea. I'm really, really sorry. Phil White, g'day Phil. Phil's a loyal viewer. He watches all my stuff and comments on a lot. He's a really nice guy. I get the impression that Philip loves nature, just like I do. A question for your next Wednesday Q&A. What other species have you caught? Macquarie perch, silvers, catfish or eels? I've caught Macquarie perch. I've caught quite a lot of Macquarie perch. I've caught them in Lake Dartmouth. I've also caught them in a few other streams around here in secret little stashes. And this is where fishing secrets are important the most. When you've got isolated pockets of rare and endangered fish, that's when you want to leave them alone. So I have caught a few Macquarie perch and I've caught them in Dartmouth. Silvers, I've never caught a silver perch. I see photos of them on my Instagram feed. I see photos of them on Facebook, but myself, I've never actually caught a silver perch. I've caught one catfish and I caught that in the Colombo Creek up near Miranda, up in New South Wales, and I've never caught an eel. So there you go. I've caught a few native galaxias up in the hills. I'm not sure exactly which sort. They might be barred galaxia or mountain galaxia or battlestar galaxia. I'm not sure. And I've caught a lot of freshwater blackfish. So I hope that answers your question. That's a great question. Something totally different. I like questions that are a little bit different to the normal. Thank you very much, Phil. And that's it. There we go. How did I go? Did I keep the time down? Is this a bit shorter? I hope I've done well. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this week's Q&A. Stay tuned next week for episode 8 of Robbie Fishing Q&A. Hope you all have a fantastic week. I can't wait for the weekend. I've got the weekend off and I'm hoping to go fishing somewhere and spend some time with my kids. You guys rock! I should have been an auctioneer.